Good evening, everybody. Good evening. This is awesome. Seeing everybody here. We did have some extra tables in case of overflow, but I think we're going to be nice and comfortable. We do have a packed evening. If you picked up a schedule, you'll see that there's lots of places to go, people to see, things to do. So I want to make sure that we stick to schedule and get our teachers off to where they need to be. So we'll begin in prayer here. You can join me in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. O Christ, our teacher, we thank you for the gift of St. Alphonsus School, where the message of your life, death, and resurrection is proclaimed. Discipleship is modeled, worship of you is cultivated, and community is experienced. Increase our zeal for ensuring that all children and families can benefit from an authentic Catholic education, and that Catholic schools grow in their ability to nurture the souls and form the minds of its students for generations to come. We ask this through the intercession of Our Lady, Mother of Catholic Schools. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So welcome to curriculum night. You are not late. Come on in. There's seats over here still. On this side. Oh, 30 seconds. Won't give you any tardy slips. So faculty introductions. This is the reason why you're here tonight, to meet these wonderful faculty and staff who are here really to support your children, first and foremost. So we'll hold off on applause until the end, just so we can read all the names here. And we'll talk about where they'll be in a moment. So we're going to start with our specialists. And our specialists, if this will go, we've got Miss Susie Allen in our learning resource room. Spanish is Senora Lori Wilbur. Music is Miss Katie Sir. And if you can wave your hand so we can actually see you. There we go. Library and STEM is Miss Melissa Murphy. PE Health and Fitness is Michelle Gallagher. And art is Miss Monica Wise. For preschool, we have our exploratory room, Miss Kelsey Willingham. And assisting her is Miss Peace. I don't know if Miss Peace is here tonight. I did see there's Miss Peace right there. Excellent. And we also have a new assistant in there, just started last week, Miss Madeline Nielsen, and she's a St. Al's alum. Very excited to be back here at St. Al's. In the Montessori room, we have Miss Adele Robinson. And assisting her is Miss Sosina, who's also seated right here. And then in our primary grades in kindergarten, we have Miss Jennifer Blankenship. She's in the back over there. And we had a new assistant start this week to help Miss Blankenship with our, I think it's 18 kiddos, Miss Angela Trunzo. So if you see her, welcome her. Mr. Aaron William is joining us also. He just moved here from the great state of Georgia. Second grade is Miss Tricia Cintron. She's over there. Third grade, Miss Angela Hershey. Fourth grade, Claudia Duncan. And on to middle school, 5-6 boys, Mr. Robert Marsh. 5-6 girls, Miss Jenny Bender. 7-8 boys, it's Mr. Paul Swanson. 7-8 girls, Mr. James Tiffany, who is also new this year. Welcome. In math is Mr. Palermo over here. So give a hand for our faculty. We also have Miss Sweet in the office, so if you need anything at any point in time tonight, buying a sweatshirt perhaps, or something like that, question on anything about student accounts, she's in the office. We also have Karen Brown, our admissions director, who's here tonight. She'll talk a little bit about high school applications at the end of the evening. And then Sarah Delgado, our vice principal, is also with us and will be floating around. So the schedule for the evening, if you did not get one, they're up here. You can grab one on your way out. It's fairly basic. You'll see that there are 15-minute passing periods. Excuse me, 15-minute periods. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. 2-minute passing periods. And at the bottom, this is particularly applicable for middle school. You can see which class to go to because there are a lot of different classes that your students are attending. So it lists the room numbers for those middle school teachers where you can find them. Preschool, you will be in your students' respective classrooms. So the exploratory room right over here, the Montessori room will be open. Again, if you have multiple students, okay, you can kind of divide up your evening. Our teachers will be here all night. The specialists, some of them will be on the 3rd floor. Miss Susie Allen will be in her room on the 3rd floor. And then Spanish, Senora Wilbur will be on the 3rd floor. All the other specialists will be in the library, which is on the 2nd floor. So you can kind of talk to all of them and get perspective. The music room and the art room on the 2nd floor will be open for you to just pop your head in and check it out. I also want to just tell preschool parents, if you would like to learn more about kindergarten, maybe you have a preschooler who's going to be in that kindergarten age next year, Ms. Blankenship during that 3rd period is going to host a little preview in her classroom. So even if you don't have a kindergartner, please go to that session to learn more about what that curriculum looks like. And then finally, if you have an 8th grader, there is a high school admissions info session in the auditorium. That's on the 3rd floor, and that will be hosted by Ms. Brown and then also Ms. Murphy. And both of them have sent their own children through that process, so they are well versed and equipped to help you there. Any questions about the schedule before we start? So just yesterday, Karen was giving a tour to a prospective preschool family, and I was able to, and faculty, you're welcome to go. They're gonna go get set up. Karen was giving a tour to a prospective preschool family, and I usually join when I can. I've met many of you during your tours here at St. Al's, if you're a new parent. And it was very typical how that conversation flows from that preschool family. And preschool parents, if you're like, well, we're going to be talking a lot about K-8 curriculum. I don't know why I'm just going to go to my classroom. We expect, it to start in the younger grades and carry forth, so you can kind of see the trajectory. And this is what the preschool parents were asking. Well, number one, we're concerned about public schools. What is St. Al's going to do differently? We're looking at other Catholic schools across the bridge. We're looking at other schools up the hill. What is St. Al's going to do differently? We want community and good values. I think everybody wants that, but basically at the end of the day, it's what makes St. Al's unique, particularly with curriculum. What makes St. Al's different? So as a school, we can't just say, well, we do English and we do reading and we do math and we do science and our kids go to enrichment. They do that everywhere. So what makes us unique? What makes us different? In my last angle, I talked about the word curriculum, which again comes from this Latin to run. As I'm growing here at St. Alphonsus, I want to make sure that our curriculum is pointed towards something that's defined, so that we're not running in circles. We want to make sure that we have a clear purpose and coherence in what we're doing. In order to get there, I was just thinking this is kind of like a ship. It's going to take fine-tuned adjustments that aren't going to happen overnight. This is a massive operation. I wish I could say tomorrow we're going to roll out this, and this, and it's going to be different this, and this way. But it is a massive ship that we're steering, and these micro adjustments are ultimately going to affect the trajectory that we're on. So I want to talk about some of those small adjustments that we're making that ultimately will affect the trajectory of this ship that we're all sailing. So first, I want to say thank you, though, for your support in this. We cannot do this without you. At last year's auction, particularly with the Fund a Dream, I asked for $15,000 for core knowledge, this history and geography curriculum, which we'll talk about, and we raised it. We even exceeded that, and now we're implementing. Okay. I also asked for $20,000 of professional development, not only for how do we implement this core knowledge, history, and geography, but how do we implement new programs and continue to get better and trained so that we're the best that we can be in the classroom. You all met that. You rose to the occasion. So this evening is really because of you. So thank you. I'm going to start by first talking about core knowledge, and we spoke briefly about this last year during the Fund a Dream, but I want to show how it is different than other programs out there for social studies. You'll notice that it's not called core knowledge social studies either. It's specifically history and geography. Yes, economics is wrapped into that. Yes, civics is wrapped into that, but there's an emphasis on history and geography. You'll see why. Other programs are saying critical thinking. Let's have more of that buzzword. Inquiry-based, current events, global worldview. They all sound very nice. Those are all good terms in and of themselves. But if we kind of unhook them from an actual curriculum, they don't mean very much and they're actually detrimental. And here's what I mean by that. If we don't give our kids content and actual knowledge, background knowledge, how can we critically think about anything? How can we have a good discussion about anything if we don't know the baseline? What happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? So instead of getting ahead of ourselves to critical thinking, which our students will get to, but let's give them a foundation of actual content. Again, how can we ask questions if we don't know what to ask questions about? Current events, how can we talk about current events without understanding the historical context? Of course, we'll talk about current events, but it's not going to be a sole focus. And a global worldview, yes, aspirational, okay, but where do we fit into that picture? And how have we gotten there so that we can actually use that term and feel good about it? So core knowledge, history, and geography is going to be content rich. We're actually going to give your kids information. They're going to be talking about world rivers, which I was in on a class today. They're telling me about the Ganges and the Yangtzes and the Nile and the Amazon. This content-rich curriculum is going to be coherent, cumulative, follow a sequence, and cross-curricular. So what they're doing in art and music, aspirationally, language arts, it's going to be connected to each other. Other schools are not doing this because, number one, it's challenging. Number two, it's just not popular right now. But St. Al's is saying yes because we think this is the best thing for your kids. And it's the best thing that our world needs right now to have some well-informed citizens. A typical sequence in elementary social studies that you will see, again, in social studies, you would see in kindergarten all about me, all about my family, all about my school, all about my community. Where's the fire department? What does the post office do? My world. You're already doing those things in your own family. And just, we reviewed these curriculums, and these are very popular. Many other schools near us are using these. I've pulled this off a website today. You can actually see, yeah, my school and my family, my community, our community and beyond, regions of our country. Right? On the back of your schedule, there is a scope and sequence, for core knowledge, history, and geography. I'll work on posting this on the website so we can continue to attract people in and show, hey, this is making us unique. But in kindergarten, yes, they'll be exploring the world, but Native Americans, exploring, moving to America, explores those Mount Rushmore presidents. Okay, some basic things. But you're going to start to see it is stacked on top of each other from grade level to grade level to grade level. And it gets deeper and deeper, it spirals. Okay, grade 1, anything from Mesopotamia to ancient Egypt to 3 world religions. Okay, what are those 3 big ones? They'll know. Culture of Mexico. Okay, from colonies to independence, exploring the West. So they're getting actual content here. And you can see that there's a trajectory across. 2nd grade, India, ancient cultures, the Greeks, 3rd grade, the Romans, the Vikings, early Americans, 4th grade, medieval period, 5th grade, it starts to spiral again, okay? Again, incorporating other cultures that probably other schools aren't having time to incorporate, but we've made it a priority. 7th and 8th grade, they're not pictured on here, but a deeper dive into American history from the pre-colonial times to the present over a course of 2 years. And you'll begin to see that across these grade levels, there's connections. So if we were to trace, for instance, Native Americans, we're going across the grades, deeper, more focused, more nuanced, okay? And giving them a sense of, now we can actually begin to critically think about something because we know the root of where we came from. And we can continue this process, and eventually you get this massive map, which looks confusing, but it's actually systematic thinking that's going on across units. And we're building webs of knowledge and content. So I'm excited for you all because you all get to dig into this with your students. I taught world history at Bishop Blanchette. And honestly, the 6th grade curriculum here is the 10th grade curriculum, for instance, at a Bishop Blanchette or other like school in terms of the types of content. Yeah, they're going to go into a little bit more depth and writing and whatnot, but the baseline content is there, and your kids can do it, and they want it. That's core knowledge. I'm doing okay on time. The other main change, again, a micro adjustment, it's felt really, really big for our staff because it's been very, very difficult and hard. Kind of ripped the Band-Aid off, but it's going to feel like a micro adjustment probably to you. It's called Literacy Essentials, the journey from spelling to reading. This is basically our new reading or phonics-based program that we've decided to adopt. Again, what makes us different? 3 main differences here. When, what, and how. When the order of the skills are taught, the scope and the pace of when they're taught, what's taught, and then how. What senses, what neurons are we activating in our brains as we're doing this program? It really is, I think, going to illuminate a lot for your students and just open doors for reading. Your student might be a great reader. Our hope is that they become excellent readers. Or if they're a struggling reader, we hope that they, take that flashlight under their blanket at night and are reading. You have to tell them, go to bed. That's awesome. So I'll focus on each of these components. When are these skills taught? Other programs, and you know what? We can honestly say, hey, we've done this, okay? But we now understand what the research says, and we've made a change. Sight words, okay? Here's 200 sight words in 1st grade that you must learn. Rapid fire. It relies a lot on visual memory. And some of our kids, visual memory is not that strong. It's like memorizing hundreds of phone numbers all at once. Very, very difficult. You first memorize it, or quote unquote, read it, and then maybe you'll learn how to spell it. If your students aren't great spellers, they'll become better ones. What Access Literacy or Literacy Essentials does is a very direct, explicit instruction where the students and the teachers are both saying and writing sounds or sound patterns, 72 of them to be exact, okay? These are called phonograms, English spelling patterns, and they're going to learn how to manipulate these in really cool ways. And this is the basis of language. They'll eventually start to combine those phonograms, which turns into spelling, the ordering of those sounds. And then as they spell, they will begin to write sentences. And then the sentences that they have written, they will begin to read. The research shows that you will spell a word first before you can read it. So this program is building on that research. It's not this fluffy, well, it sounds like let's do invented spelling, whatever they feel like the word might be. This is a very intentional approach. Like I said, it is challenging. It's tough. Our teachers are learning it too. We just went through a 4-day intensive training. I sat in it myself as well. It was probably the most stretched my brain has been in a while. But it was great. It's great. So that's the when. The other part is the what, the scope and pace. So in literacy essentials, again, by the end of first grade, they will have these 72 phonograms learned. That seems ambitious, but a little bit every day is gonna make the difference. By the end of third grade, they will have practiced 2,000 words, not visually memorized, but practiced over 2,000 words with these intentional spelling patterns phonograms. Fourth grade and beyond, they'll start to incorporate the vocabulary from the literature that they're reading, from their core knowledge, history, and geography vocabulary. They'll start to be able to break apart those words and also see the morphology. Where does this word come from? Is it an Anglo-Saxon word? Is it a Greek word? Is it a Latin word? What are the patterns related to those languages of origin for those words? So that's the trajectory there. Other programs, by the time they're in third grade, they're going to get to about half the amount of words because it relies so heavily, again, on the sight words and this kind of vague memorization of spelling words and calling out those letter names. There's little emphasis on patterns and rules. Yes, there might be some like the silent E or, double O. You might see those in other programs, but it's not as explicitly taught. This program does. The other part is the how. And again, this is about the senses. So other programs are, again, relying on sight, big visual memory. If that doesn't fit your child, it's going to be tough. Again, sounds, these kind of big blends. Yes, there might be doing the ch or sh, but it's, again, there's not really a logical approach there. So again, we are moving towards something where we're actually going to see the word, see it, hear it, say it, and do it. You're activating a lot of different parts of your brain by doing that. You're strengthening those neural connections, again, through this direct instruction, interactive analysis, as we'll do in just a moment. And they're putting these into a graphic organizer too, helping them see what these patterns are. So for instance, I'll give you an example here. This is the letter U. How many sounds does the letter U make? The letter U, we see it, okay? This is the letter U. I want you to hear the sounds, okay? The kids aren't going to see this. They're not going to have to learn all these markings and all this, but this is what the teacher is saying, okay? The letter U just doesn't say U or It says U, all in that little letter. U, So kids are going to hear it. He's going to say it. They're going to say it. They're going to write it. Okay, and it's going to build on each week. They're going to start incorporating that into words. Okay, they're stuck on a word. I don't know. Do I put double O? Do I put a U? Teacher might say, U, and they're going to start to see the recognition of those patterns again. Okay. Little letter, lots going on there. Focus mostly on those two because those are the main changes. Very, very briefly, because I'm just about out of time. You will hear about religion tonight. You'll hear about math tonight. You'll hear about science. Religion we're using, it kind of varies depending if there's a sacrament being done in second grade or whatnot. But Faith and Life series by Ignatius Press is our textbook there. It has been for a number of years. Math, we use Go Math by Houghton Mifflin. It's kind of a combination of Common Core standards, Singapore math, traditional math approach. So we use that in K-6. Science, it's very cool, hands-on. It's called the full science option, FOSS. So students are getting kits with bugs and plants, and that is one of those things that is inquiry-based. They are asking questions. They're keeping a lab notebook. It's very cool to see. Before I turn it over to school commission, I did want to make one special announcement that does relate to the curriculum here, but maybe not necessarily in the classroom. I'm excited to announce that there will be a return of the spring musical this year. Please save the date. Please save the date for May 19th and 20th. And I know we wanted to get those younger kids in there, but this is going to be for 5th through 8th grade. It's going to be 5th or 8th grade. And the person who's doing it is Marie Mershon. She was kind of the architect of Bishop Blanchette's drama program. She was there for 17 years. She was the one who got them over at the Moore Theater. This is a huge win for a little school. She's very excited to work with us. She's taken a gander of the auditorium, the stage, the lighting, the sound. Might have a little work to do. Might be another fun to dream. But it's gonna be very special. So save the date. I will be floating around tonight. I am teaching 8th grade religion, so you might see me in that class. But I want to turn it over to Mr. Pete Noble from School Commission to give us a special message.
Thank you, Nick. And you're a tough act to follow. It certainly almost inspires us to have more kids so we get more passengers on this ship, which is actually a little bit about what I'm here to talk about. Many hands make light work. And my name is Pete Noble, husband of Beth, father of Lucy, Emma, Addie, 864. And we're most grateful to St. Al's for honoring, we consider a very formative educational experience. We have 182 current students at St. Al's, and we have capacity for 230 students. Getting to 230 students does nothing to impact, or very little and minimal to impact teacher-to-student ratio, school operation, facilities. We've got capacity to support it. And giving 50 additional students and families the benefit of a St. Al's education does really two important things. Number one, it reduces the acute need for fundraising, and perhaps most importantly, gets our teachers closer to pay parity with the Seattle Public School District. And number two, it creates obviously an even more vibrant and diverse learning community of students and families. So the ask that I have of you tonight, and we have of you as a school commission and each other, is very simple. It's a refer, review, and refer. So you all receive an email that includes links to sites that you can go to first of all, review St. Al's. And to date, in 2022, we received 15 reviews. They've all been 5 stars. So if you start at Google Maps, you give a review, you copy and paste what you wrote, and you go on to niche and greaterschools.org and put your reviews there with 5s. It obviously makes a difference to any family that's out using those sources as they consider education. So first is review, second referral. Obviously, many of us are here because of the power of referral. We heard about St. Al's from somebody else that could speak to it. So we would ask that you get active and you know best who might be great fits for St. Al's. They could benefit from an education. So as you hear neighbors talking about possibility, please connect them to St. Al's. There is a referral program that you get a free month of education for the first student referred of a new family. And then finally, we're also having an open house on October 18th from 9:30 to 10:30, which is a great way to plug interested families in. But really, we're on a drive to go from 182 to 230. And I think, personally, when I speak to them, I think we can do it next year pretty easily, particularly based on the state of what we came from as well and joining St. Al's. So thank you for all that you can do. You've received an email that would have been in a handout, but it has links that you can use and enjoy the rest of the night. Thanks. Oh, one last thing. There is a commission or an active group working on marketing and selling this gem. And so as you have ideas and thoughts of what we might do better, please email Nick. Thanks.
So we are right on schedule. First period begins now. If you need any help, myself, Karen, Sarah will be around to direct you. You will hear the bell ring. Yes, that classical school bell, that tells you you've got your 2-minute passing period that begins and on to the next place. Okay, have a great evening, everybody.